You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.
All right, good morning, LA. How are you? Good morning, Internet, because that's where we're streaming. My name is Katerina Cozias. I am your host here at LA Talk Radio. I'm coming to you from our TV station side, and I am coming to you from, obviously, Los Angeles. But I say good morning, Internet, because we are streaming live across the Internet via latalkradio.com and also Facebook Live. So if you are catching us on Facebook Live, lots of love to Facebook this morning. I have a really great conversation lined up for you today. So as you can see, for those of you watching, I am sitting all alone today in the studio. It's sort of been the theme of the week for me. I've been like all alone. I'm getting cut off right, left, and center. And the thing is, my guest today is actually coming to us from Arizona. So she is going to be patched in via audio in just a couple of minutes. But I wanted to talk about, going global. What does that mean? And obviously, one of the beauties of technology in the world that we live in right now is the fact that we can go global because of the internet. So I know we have people watching us from all parts of the world. Portugal tunes in, and Canada tunes in, and there's lots of other places and people that follow. My good friend Jason pops in once in a while. He's over in Singapore. So Jace, if you follow this, if you catch it, shout out to you. And of course, all families and friends in the USA and Canada. Global impact, and what does that mean? So one of the reasons I'm excited to have our guest on today's program is for a few different reasons. She and I met through the global sphere of technology. That's right, we're part of a mastermind that brought us together via digital channels, and we've been communicating, coordinating, interacting for a good chunk of the year, a group of us, and she's part of that. She and I accidentally, without knowing it, ended up on the same stage speaking at an event in Washington, D.C. just a couple of weeks ago. She came in from one side, I came in from the other side, and we realized that we were both going to be in Washington at the same event. That event was the Game Changer Mentality launch party. So big shout out to Mr. Rodney Flowers, who was hosting that event. And this guest is a real powerhouse. She is an author, she is a speaker, she is a woman who, at the age of 14, was given a cancer diagnosis and chose to fight through it. She is the founder of Colleen Gallagher International and the founder of Global Citizen University. And we're going to talk to her about her mission, which is to empower change and motivation and leaders to step up to recognizing what we can do as a collective to get 80% of the world's population out of poverty. I'm going to say that again. 80% of the world's population is currently living in poverty, and that is absolutely unacceptable to our guest, Colleen. So I'm going to invite her in and let her tell us all about how she is making a massive global impact. Colleen, are you with us?
Yes,
Yay!
I am. How are you?
Perfect. So first of all, good morning. Thank you for being on the program.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and using a beautiful channel to create this space.
Part of the reason I love doing the show is I love to have conversation that gets people thinking, gets them intrigued, gets them excited to step into their own light and step into their own purpose. And you are absolutely someone that is doing that. At the tender age, I have to say, of 24 years old, is that right? 25?
25.
25. That's right. I was actually at your birthday party. Colleen, talk to me a little bit about Global Citizen University.
Yeah, definitely. So it's really exciting, and I guess really where, before I get into it, I just want to say really where it started in a moment in time when I was diagnosed with cancer. And there was a time I was in a playroom, and there was a dad that yelled at a mom. And what he said is he said that the only reason we're not in this position to pay for our daughter's treatment is because you're a stay-at-home mom. And what I didn't know at that time, but there was something that imprinted in me that you needed money to have love and money to not die. And I went on this very long, angry path of my life of chasing money to hopefully be fulfilled. And I've traveled all over the world and I've met so many people, but I started realizing that really deep down in everyone's core, we desire to make an impact, and we desire to impact whatever has been done to us, whatever we feel the wrong is, or wherever we feel we've suppressed our truth. And I started to realize this is the same across every human being. Whenever you meet them, it's the same, that they want to do this impact of whatever they feel really negatively held them back or negatively suppressed them. And I was sitting there and I was like, how can I create a platform? How can I create something where people can finally understand how to make the impact they desire on a massive level and see that that's possible for them? It's not just for like the already famous people or the already, lucky
successful
ones.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So Global Citizen University is what really birthed here, and it's really exciting because it's launching on January 15th for students and the change makers. And there's 4 pillars to it that we've created. And we've done freedom, purposeful contribution, citizenship, and policy. And the reason that we chose those is we wanted every single person to see today how they can start to live a freedom lifestyle, how every single person today can already see how they are impacting the global economy and how they can feel that they're making an impact already. And even in a greater way to awaken our awareness of the consciousness of how you can do it at even greater levels today, right now. And that's what we're going for. And it's really an exciting time to be doing it. And another thing that I really like to say about it right now is right now there's around 100 million displaced people in the world. So they don't belong to any country and they can't go back to their own country due to a civil war. That's larger than most countries in the world.
I was going to say 100 million people is not small. Wow.
Yeah. And that's already, those are already really global citizens. And saying that, refugees or displaced people are problems, like that's fine. If that's your belief, but the thing is that they keep growing. There's a new one every 2 minutes. So there's going to be a point when we can't just say like, oh, there's a problem, no one wants to deal with it. We need to start creating solutions. And I see really this Global Citizen University as a way for people to start seeing how they can provide solutions to get people purposely contributing to the world under their vision, under their mission, how they can do that with living a freedom lifestyle and influencing global policy and being a global citizen and really making the impact and be the change they desire to see in the world.
And the world is a big place, and the thing is, the more people we can get falling into a place of wanting to contribute, I think the better for everyone. Can you go through those 4 pillars again for me?
Yep, so it's going to be purposeful contribution, freedom, policy, and citizenship.
Wow. And so, I'm going to take it a step back because not a lot of people decide at the age of 25 they're going to start a global movement and then tack the word university onto the end of that. So your vision, for those of you that think maybe you're dreaming a little bit too big, you want to start following Colleen Gallagher, because I'm telling you, the bigger the vision, the bigger the fear of stepping into it, but the bigger the challenge, and also, I suppose, the bigger the energy that you come to the table with. Were you, when this vision hit you, were you thinking, oh my gosh, this is maybe too much for me, maybe I'll just start a little bit smaller? Or did you just say, you know what, here I am, use me and let's go?
Yeah, so it was really interesting. It was co-created actually through a mentor that I work with. And when you read my first book, actually, that came out in February, I talk about in that book, I'm creating the largest peaceful army of love. Those that are deeply devoted to their purpose in life to make an impact. And so I really said it, but I didn't have maybe the structure to put it in. And currently I'm getting my master's, and I'll be going for my PhD. And, I'm really looking at this from like a researcher, activist, coach, like entrepreneur, corporate background. I have all these different variables that have made me very dynamic. And I'm like, what can I do to bring all of these people together? Like, what is one thing we all have in common? And that's what came, what was that we all desired to make an impact. And it does feel big of like, whoa, it's the university. Whoa, I'm saying like the largest peaceful army of love. And like, I just did a post recently of like there's $855 billion being spent on military between like the U.S., Germany,
England,
France.
yeah.
I include a few others as well. And I was like, this university stands for our net worth combined being $855 billion, but going towards love, going towards peace, going towards that. And what if with this university, you were part of that and you were choosing to raise your hand and saying, you know what, my net worth, no matter what it is, I'm putting it in there as a collective towards the $855 billion to be towards love. And I'm going to apply these things to my life because I believe that I know what it's mine, but if I go towards the collective, I believe it will make a difference.
I love that. I love that because I can feel the passion behind your voice. Now, how do you go about joining this movement? If somebody is interested in saying, hey, I want to learn a little bit more, and pointing them to your website is one way, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But if I'm watching this and I'm sitting in Boston right now and I'm thinking, wow, this sounds interesting, what is a practical step for me to take to get involved with your mission?
Yeah, so right now we really just launched it, which is exciting, and we're solidifying the founding partners. And these founding partners are global educators as well. So it's not like this is just me on the educational board. There's going to be 6 other global educators that have devoted their life to these different pillars, sharing their life knowledge and work with you and how you can apply that. So that's something, if that's you and you're like, oh my gosh, I've devoted my life work to this, I want it to be seen on a global platform. And just to mention as well, when I say a global platform, since I left corporate in January, I've grown just Colleen Gallagher to around 20,000 followers. So this movement together, this is going to be even greater than that. But if this is like you know that you want to share your work with this people that are devoted to this, then definitely reach out via LinkedIn, Facebook. I can put my email support on here as well. And then if you're looking as a change maker or a student, definitely, again, I recommend reaching out. We already have a wait list going for the email and how it will be and getting there. But the classes start January 15th, which is really exciting. So the best way to get involved right now is contacting myself or my team, so we can get you right in the information and get you involved with it now. So you can start getting the tools and planning for 2019 and how you're going to become part of this, and you're going to live more with more freedom, more purpose, more influencing on policy and citizenship.
Now, you were working, you touched on this a little bit earlier, and I'd love for you to do that. So especially on the Facebook live stream, when we're done, when we're off the air, if we could jump back in and you could throw some of your social media handles on there, that would be awesome. Mm-hmm. Your name is unique enough that most people, and I'm pointing to it right now, can Google and find you. But one of the things that I want to chat with you about is, this is great, but you didn't necessarily come from a background of, really service and impact and purpose. And so you touched on something a few minutes ago that you were doing corporate, you were working around the world. How did you make that shift to listen to the calling in your heart and your soul? I always like to dig a little deeper there because I'm a big believer in the fact that we all have a little voice in us that says, you know what, you're here and that's awesome, but there has to be something more than just getting up, going to the same job, paying the same bills, and then waiting for retirement and dying. So how did you decide or allow yourself, I guess is the better question, to step into the bigger vision for you? Were you, did you meet resistance within your own mind?
Yeah, so it was definitely, I always had a dream to live international, and already been to maybe like 23 countries or something at the time, but I always had a dream to live international, and I grew my sales territories with the company I worked for pretty rapidly, and they said that I'd have to wait 5 years. So I would have been 28 years old to live internationally.
Okay.
And I was like, no, it was not something I was willing to compromise. So I was at a meeting finally, and I was closing a deal, and something was going on, and I looked around, and I was just like, these are all older men that don't seem happy, that like they're complaining about their wives. Like, this is not a life I want to be around. This is not a life I'm willing to be around. And I was in an emotionally abusive situation at the time. I was recreationally, partying a lot on the weekends. And I was like, this just can't be my life. Like, this is not going to end well for me if I keep going down this path. And that was in November of 2016. And I remember I came home and I crashed on my couch and I was bawling. And I was like, this just can't be it. And I was like, what am I going to do? And that voice inside of me was like, go get your computer and Google visas, because America doesn't make it seem like it's very easy to get visas. And it was the first time I ever thought to Google if I could even get a visa without a corporation or a university.
Now you're talking about a travel visa.
Yep. No, it was a work visa. It's a working holiday visa.
Okay, but like a travel working holiday visa, not a Visa credit card. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Visa for
people's minds might be going to Visa and MasterCard. I just want to make sure we're talking visas to get into other countries. Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
And so I applied and I got the visa within 24 hours, and I was like, that's it. Like, I'm going all in. And I saved my money for 3 months. I was like having anxiety attacks every single day, but I was like, this is my dream. This is my truth to live international. Like, that was them. I was like, once I do that, it'll all be better. I'll have everything. And then I literally left my job, and I remember I was at Ultra in Miami Music Festival, and I was really with some not great friends at the time, and I was really messed up on partying. And I remember I texted a friend and I said, I wish I never made it through cancer. And I remember in that moment exactly, I was like, I'm never having this happen to me again. Like, I snapped as soon as I sent the text message. I was like, never again am I allowing myself to get to a place where I don't see how much I'm under-indexing or undervaluing the worth that I could bring to the world. And that was like the moment when I went to New Zealand, and I was like, I'm going to figure this out. And I did 300 hours of yoga, meditation, and I got promoted again really quickly there. And I was like, that's it. I'm figuring this out. Like, how can I do this? How can the world be?
Sorry, keep going. I was going to say, so you got yourself to New Zealand. That's where you went. You got your work visa, and you got your company to transfer you to New Zealand?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, no. I left my job.
Oh.
And then I left my job and just showed up to New Zealand. And then that's when I manifested a job with a $400 million company. Within 4 weeks.
So you get your travel visa in 24 hours. You manifest a job within 4 weeks with a $400 million company in a country you've never been to before because you set an intention that you wanted to travel and work internationally. Boom.
Yep.
Right?
And it was my dream. It was my dream. That was like my dream. And I knew it was going to work. And, like the moments of being in Miami when I was upset before I went to New Zealand, that was like I went from Baltimore to Miami to New Zealand. That's when I crashed, and I realized, like, this is not ever going to happen again. Like, I'm never going to let myself fall this low. And any other person who desires to make an impact or feels like they're under indexing, I'm going to figure this out, and I'm going to bring everybody along with me so every single person is thriving. Every single person is making a massive impact. Every single person is living with their purpose and feeling that they're contributing to the global economy.
And do you feel like you're contributing now?
Absolutely.
I can feel it. I can feel the passion and the fire in your voice. And that's part of why I like doing the show, because I like to remind people that, going through life where you're feeling like you're 50% and you're kind of in that gray zone and life is good and it's fine and it's okay. And it's like, well, why would you want to play with those words and not want to play with epic and not want to play with magnificent, not want to play with brilliant, and I can feel that energy coming from you right now. You decided to start doing a lot of work on yourself to get yourself into a place where you were able to impact more. And you and I had talked about this before. It took a little bit of a financial investment. So I want you to talk to me about that.
Yeah. So basically from the time I moved to New Zealand, that was April 2017. And I manifested a job within 4 weeks. It was April 2017. And for a $400 million company, I was traveling all over Australia and New Zealand. And I remember I was like, there's got to be more to this. I've got to be able to teach other people how to do this. And I lost my job in January of 2018. And I was like, I'm going to travel the world while creating an online business. And everyone's like, you're crazy. That's not going to work. Well, anyway, I was doing it, and my book came out in February. I was focusing on the funnels and all the things, but it wasn't working. So I was so focused on the tools, on the money, on this, that it was not working. And what occurred is I came across a mentor who I've been following for a while. And from April of 2018 to now, I've invested $85,000 in my personal development, not including my education, to really understand what does it mean to be living at your full potential? What does it mean to be living with your heart wide open? What does it mean to be creating a global impact, leveraging technology? What does it mean to have, political, economic, and social policy structures and influence? And from that place, this is where Global Citizen University is being birthed. And from that place, this is where I've, impacted 20,000 people that have been following me, and paid clients, and speaking events that have risen up, and seeing how to manifest, how to make an impact, how to set that up in their business structure, to live with truth.
Well, what you're talking to me, as you were talking, Colleen, a little bit of what this reminded me of was, a similar vision to a little thing that got started a few years back that, has since blown up for anyone that plays in this world, Mind Valley, right?
Yeah.
Mind Valley started with a small team and a little vision, and now they're global, and they are impacting hundreds of thousands of lives with their message and a lot of the same tools that you're promoting, in terms of the efficacy of how this can impact your ability to be more impactful. Where do you see yourself going with this? What is your long-term vision?
Yeah, the long-term vision is definitely when there is global citizenship, so that there is not going to be like state borders totally, or regional borders, because of the transnational.
Do you think that,
Yeah.
okay, I'm just going to interject you because I want to play devil's advocate. Do you think that there will come a time where we don't have borders? I mean, we'll look at what's happening right now, for example, in Europe, right? And people are worried about the Eurozone and the fact that, even the States is becoming a lot less open with its borders. So you're almost coming at this at a time where the world seems to be taking a step back from globalization and wanting to go back to border protection. Are you worried about the challenge around that?
Yeah, so I definitely feel like when you look at it from at that level, definitely, but when you look at it from a transnational corporation and online business and entrepreneurs that are already making the impact, there's definitely already a global citizen and a global nation here, but no one, if you're part of Facebook, if you're part of Google, if you're part of Gmail, like, you are already impacting global policy, and you're already impacting the global economy. And there's really no global policy or rules or regulation that's being put in place for that. So this university is really standing for those change makers and those agents and those students who desire to understand what those possible rules and regulations could be, or being innovative of how to understand that and bring that to fruition. I don't think that it's for everyone. I think that this would be like a particular, like any other nation or country, like you would apply for a visa, or you'd be part of it due to the nature of your lifestyle or the impact and income that you're making in the world. So I feel it goes toward that. It's not that the whole world would go to this. It's definitely for a specific type of lifestyle and impact that you're creating in the world.
Yeah, I love that. If you had somebody now, you're the ripe old age of 25, which I love, and you're talking to a 15-year-old, and the 15-year-old says, "I don't know how to find my purpose." What advice would you give him?
Yeah, you said a 15-year-old or 50?
15, 1-5.
Yeah. So I actually have this is beautiful. I actually have a client right now, and she wouldn't mind me sharing this, but she's in Iran.
Okay.
And she wants to be a peacekeeper, which is amazing, and for the world, and helping this. And she asked me, Colleen, what am I supposed to do? And you know what I say is, go do what you love more. Like, just follow your gut instinct on what you love more, and start to realize, and write it down in a calendar, and write it down as like a daily practice, and start to realize the commonalities of what makes your heart happy. Because whatever makes your heart happy, that's your purpose. That's your God-given right. That's just something that's not been programmed upon you on humanity to feel good.
But how do you do that if you have 5 kids at home and a mortgage and a wife that's bitching at you? Again, because I'm a big believer in passion and purpose, but I was having a debate last week with somebody that was, talking about, well, you've got to follow opportunity first, and then that'll fuel your passion. And there's some logic, there's definitely some logic there. So my question to you would be, yes, to rah-rah people and tell them pursue your passion is great, but what do you do if you have a mortgage and you're looking at your paycheck at the end of the month going, oh shoot, I'm out of money on the 25th and I've got 6 days till I get paid? How do you bring passion and purpose into that?
Definitely. So one thing I'd say, when I was working in corporate, both times when I was working in corporate, when I was my dream to move to New Zealand, I didn't just say, oh my God, tomorrow I'm going to quit and do this. Like, I wasn't just that. Like, I knew that I had a purpose and I had a passion, and that's what I desired. And, I saved for 3 months. I was super saving on it. I was like applying to all these jobs. I made sure right when I got in New Zealand, I already had an Airbnb. I already had an interview with the recruiting firm. So it's not like you're just doing something and like, oh, I'm off to flying of my passion or my purpose. It's making sure that you're finding the clarity on what it is you actually love. Because if you have 5 kids, a mortgage, and a whatever, like, so do you like the job that you're doing? Like, what are the skill sets of what you desire? Do you want to be a stay-at-home mom? Do you want the flexibility to work online? Like what is it that you actually desire, and getting clear on that. And then from that clarity, start creating the opportunities that you want.
And I like that word creation, because again, a lot of people forget that we absolutely have the ability to co-create the way our life is going to go. And it comes back down to just feeling very much aligned and very much in tune with, as you said, coming back to that, because I do agree with you, what is it that makes your heart sing, right?
Yeah, and even another example, to people who are like, oh, it's still too logical. Even another example, I really, when I left corporate in January, I was saving for 2 months. I left, and I had the first 2 months, January and February, where I had friends, and I didn't have to pay rent for the first 2 months. I was in California and Arizona, but I set that up for myself, where I was like, all right, well, I give myself 2 months. I'll still be traveling. It's still like my dream.
Who can I crash with? Yeah.
But it gives me time to set it up, and I was doing some, and then I realized it wasn't working, and then I wasn't really happy. I didn't feel fulfilled, and I was like, all right, well, what can I do? And that's when I realized, like, all right, I need to invest in something that's gonna give me a return on this. Invest in something that's gonna help me, lift me up on this. And even when I didn't have the money for that investment, I asked for a payment plan. I asked, if there's something I can do with this, and luckily that mentor, believed in me and gave me that opportunity.
And I was going to say, I think when you go back and you genuinely approach someone with, from a heart space and say to them, I don't have the money for this right now, but how can we get creative? What can we do? People that are genuinely in a position to want to help will get flexible with you. And that's been absolutely my experience as well.
Yeah, and so that's what, when people say, or how do you do it, or the opportunities, how did the university come to me? How are global educators coming to me? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like I got so caught up in that I didn't start the dream. I didn't start the opportunity of my passion with that. And I think that's the most important thing, and to hone in on that. And even with my whole life of cancer and different things, is hone in on what you feel you really care about. What was an injustice that happened to you, and you're like, I don't want that to be my life. I don't want anyone ever to go through that again. Your passion, or your commitment, or your vision to purposeful contribution lies there.
So good. Your courses start January 15th. What's the best website people can go to find out more?
Yep, so right now the best website would be www.colleengallagher.co.
Co, not com. .co.
Yep.
ColleenGallagher.co. Okay, excellent. Perfect. And of course, they can follow you at Colleen Gallagher stuff on social media. You can pop some of that into the thread.
Yep, I'll pop that in the thread, because I'm pretty active on there, so it's the best way to connect with me directly is on there. And if you're interested in particular being a student or founding partner, just email support@colleengallagher.co.
Cool. Parting words for the audience, Colleen. What do you want to leave people with today?
I feel just remember that this revolutionary vision, this truth, this one love, this mission is coming through so many of us. And remember that you are already enough. You are already worthy and deserving of everything that you desire, wish, and aspire to be. And the moment is now to act and create this future for yourself.
And I think the future is full of an intention from a lot of people I'm getting these days for a collaborative, collective progression for all. We're moving a little bit away from that paradigm of I've got to keep the other guy down so that I can get up. And I'm really feeling a wave and a push, and people like you are spearheading this. What can we do as a collective to advance everyone, to allow for individual brilliance, to allow for the impact and the purpose that each of us has the opportunity to make? So I thank you so much for stepping into that for so many of us, to act as a role model. You're 25 years old. You are in a position where you are dedicating yourself to changing the way the world works. 80% of people are living in poverty, and this movement is going to help push a few people out of that. And I really commend you for that.
Yeah, and I thank you so much for having me, and super excited for every single person to rise up and have the opportunity to live with freedom and truth.
So good. Follow Colleen Gallagher. Colleen, thanks for being with us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Katerina.
Best of luck. Bye-bye. Wait. Oh, hang on. I got mic stuff going on. So there you go, folks. There you go. If you're sitting and you're wondering, what am I doing with my life? Well, That's a great question, and you can ask yourself that. I would actually invite you to spend a little bit of time over the Christmas holidays. You know, things are starting to wind down, especially for those of you in the US of A. Thanksgiving is coming up, and you know, family time and chill out time and all of that. Take a little bit of time and think about how you would like to set up your 2019. What is it that you can do from wherever you are in the world to be a little more impactful, even if it's just for your own self, in your own life, to create a little bit of that feeling of collective advancement. That would be one thing that I would invite you to consider as we head into this holiday season. As for me, I'm going to be heading out to lunch very shortly. That was our program. I'm Katerina Cozias here on LA Talk Radio with LA Talk Radio. I said that twice. I'm going to say it a third time on LA Talk Radio with LA40. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.
You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hey, Colleen.